John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing a new lineup by Afflictor. Okay, I've long enjoyed Afflictor broadheads, whether it's the hybrids or the fixed blade heads. I've used all of them in various hunting situations. They've always performed really well. And now they've come out with a new heavyweight lineup of their fixed blade heads. And all of these are all stainless steel, and they vary in weights from 155 to 200 grains. Today I'm going to specifically be testing the 200 grain models. So I'm going to zoom on in here, go through the lineup, and then put them to the test using my Bowtech SR6 set at 72 pounds and Bishop FOC King arrows. Let's see how these new Afflictor heavyweight fixed blades perform. Here's the Afflictor heavyweight lineup of their fixed blade heads. And it's pretty cool. Over here you've got the EXTs, and over here you've got the K2s. And the difference is the tip. This is the EXT tip that's used on all their heads, whether hybrid or fixed. And this is the K2 tip that's used on all their heads, whether hybrid or fixed. The biggest difference in these heads over the 100 and 125 grain models are that they're all stainless steel. The ferrules are no longer aluminum 7075 as they are in those lighter weight models, but now they're stainless steel. This one is the 155 grain model, and it's basically the exact same head as the 125 grain model, but with stainless steel ferrule. That adds the extra weight. Then this one is basically the same head as the 155 grain, but they've added this washer. So now it comes to a total weight of 180 grains. Then this one is the 200 grain version. And the difference between the 200 grain version and the others are, one, it does have this extra washer in there, as does the 180 grain, but you notice it also has less cutout on the blades. So the blades have more steel to them, and that adds more weight. I really like it when heads increase their weight by beefing up the blades themselves. Okay, I think that was really well done. Some other things you'll note about the different models is the EXT has a cutting diameter this way of 1 1/4 inches, and then the bleeders are 11/16 of an inch. And then in the K2, the maximum cut here is 1 1/4 inches, and then the bleeders are 1 inch. So it's kind of cool that you have different dimensions to choose with based on your setup and what kind of a hole you want to put in the animal. Some other things that are noteworthy are the main blades in both of these are 0.053 inches thick. And that's a thick main blade. And then the bleeders. Typically bleeders are thinner and weaker, but not these. These bleeders are 0.059 inches thick. So really thick bleeders right there. And then the tips on both of them, you notice here, are super extra thick. By my measurement, it came out to 0.14 inches thick in that leading tip of both of them. Now, some people note that the tip is not super sharp. It's not. Now, I'm not going to do that with the blade because the blade's really sharp, but the tip is not. But don't let that fool you in terms of its performance. It's really edge integrity. Okay, the straightness of the edge, the lack of chips and dings and bending that affects penetration, and these tips are really tough and they hold that straight edge all the way into an animal. Then it's the blades behind them that do the cutting. So the tip does the penetrating, then the blades do the cutting behind them, and they work very well. I've taken a number of animals with the 125 grain fixed versions, and they all performed really well. So I'm eager to put these to the test. Okay, now I'm not going to be testing them for all the things that I tested the 125 grain model with, like flight. They're basically the same dimensions, just different weights, so they're going to fly the same. I've already done that. You can check out that video and see the scores on that. I've already tested them for edge sharpness and edge retention. They did very well. You can test those or check out that earlier video to see that as well. But I am going to test them for penetration and durability. And for that, I'm going to be testing the 200 grain version just because I'm curious to see how that heavy weight really makes a difference in terms of the penetration and the durability. So if you're interested in all the other scores for these fixed blade heads, again, check out the 125 grain version because it's going to be identical in those regards. But the penetration, the durability might be a bit different. Let's see how this heavyweight lineup of the EXT and the K2 fixed blade afflictors perform.
3, 2,
200 grain K2 penetrated 9 inches. The EXT penetrated 9¼ inches. Here we got the EXT on the left and the K2 on the right. And first of all, both of them just make nice holes, man. You got to appreciate that. They're one of those heads that don't just make little slits, but they really punch a hole. And that's what I look for in a fixed blade head. I want something that punches a hole like that, because it's going to be a lot harder to close up that wound channel. And if you look over here at the K2, you notice that it really does make a bigger hole. It's interesting because the EXT is a bit wider this way, just by 1/8 of an inch. But because the bleeders are so wide over here in the K2, man, it just makes a nice big hole. Both of them are impressive, but they're I give a slight edge in the way the hole looks, at least, to the K2. Now, as for the heads themselves, they held up fairly well. Of course, the tip, the ferrule, all in perfect condition. That tip is really durable. You can't even tell it's been shot into anything, let alone steel. But the blades, you can see, got really nicked up. And that started, like on the second shot, you could see them start. Well, the first shot, you could see them start to get nicked up, and then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Now, they're replaceable blades, but because they have such a gradual bevel, as you can see there, that makes them really sharp, but it also makes them a little prone to a bit of a edge, bendy, nicking, chatter like that in a super hard medium like steel. You can see the same thing similar with the EXT here. The tip in perfect condition, the ferrule, but those blades getting a bit nicked up there. But man, very impressive holes, impressive durability. So what'd you think of the heavyweight fixed blade afflictors? Okay, you got the K2 and the EXT. Like I said earlier, I've used them in hunting situations, and man, they've performed really well. Okay, I've been impressed with them. Especially, I love the hybrids, but man, these fixed blades have performed really well also. They're just so beefy. So you can check out my earlier videos to see some of the other tests that I've done on the lighter weight models, because they're basically the same. But in this video, you got a taste of the penetration and the durability, and I hope that was helpful. You know, like a few other broadhead companies out there, I've been so impressed with the Afflictor lineup, and because they have a direct-to-consumer marketing program that they don't sell through retailers, I approached them and asked them if they would give me a discount code that I could pass on to you, and they do. So you can use LUSK10, Lusk and then number 10, 10, on any order and get 10% off of any order of Afflictors. So check out the score sheets, see how these things performed, and consider them. They might be the right head for you if you're looking for a little bit more oomph, a little bit more weight into your arrow, a little bit more FOC like that. Great job, Afflictor.